those who are wise would veer towards Buddhism because it is the most comprehensive and effective educational system the world has ever seen. Versus our public education. What did they teach you? Did they teach you how to let go when you got dumped? What religion out there taught you how to forgive, especially if you have a 38 underneath the glove box?
That was the most gangster line I've ever heard a monk say. I'm not going to lie. Talk about a little bit about getting out of rock bottom and how you leveraged peace and quietness to get yourself out of that rock bottom. And, you know, you became a monk, and obviously life has shifted in a very positive direction, and you're, you know, using your platform for great things. So can you speak to that a little bit?
So first and foremost, that makes both of us that we were former bad boys, right? Listen, the police used to come to my house every night, handing me back to my parents.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I didn't become a monk because all was well and I was this happy golden child. All was not well. That's why I was like, okay, it's time to change. If I not change, again, either dead or in prison.
Yeah.
So, in Buddhism, people have this misconception and notion about the first noble truth, which is there's suffering in life. As we address your question, we also address the subject of pain and suffering, which is something that people are like, huh. And our relationship and the meaning that we attach to pain and suffering. Now, I think pain and suffering is pretty awesome. What does that mean? That means that we've been through that, right? And people who've been through the pain and suffering in their life, it's there. You are subject to it, said the Buddha. You are subject to old age, death, decay, disease, and subsequent and old age. There you go. And when you look at carefully, how we acknowledge it or how we don't acknowledge it determines the quality of our mind, the state of our mind, the state of our thoughts, and our attitude towards life. Is it true that we are subject to old age, decay, disease, and death? Yes. Oh, let's look at the disease part of it, right? That there is mental disease and there's physical disease, right? And so along the way, you know, those who are wise would veer towards Buddhism because it is the most comprehensive and effective educational system the world has ever seen. Versus our public education. What did they teach you? Did they teach you how to let go when you got dumped or your relationship fell apart? Did they teach you how to forgive? You know, what religion out there taught you how to forgive? Taught you, you know, if someone smack you in this side of the face, you turn the other cheek. How do you do that? Especially if you have a 38 underneath the glove box.
That was the most gangster line I've ever heard a monk say. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, I keep it real. I have to relate to the people somehow.
Yeah.
And so people run away from the pain. What leads to rock bottom is that either you are stopped by whatever forces, family forces, law enforcement. Jail is good for people, actually.
Yeah.
Just once you're in there, just realize that if you don't like it, then time to change.
Yeah.
The act changing. But, you know, hopefully someone stops you, either drug stops you, or either your near death experience will do it. That's one way of stopping. Jail is one way of stopping. Family, you know, intervening is stopping. And so that's when if you know, hopefully you sit there and you're like, wait a minute, how did I get here? All the drugs, all the sex, all the girls, all of the trauma, addiction, abuse. How did I get here? How did all this get started? Like, how did my parents treat me? How was my interaction with my family? Was I abandoned? Was I a foster kid? Was I in the system? You know, why did I crave the attention? Why did I started to steal? Why did I started to lie? Why did I start to do this to people, hurting myself? Starts with these questions. Spirituality is just that. It's about knowing yourself. And I didn't know myself. And like the most of us, you know, we just keep on running away from the pain of domestic violence, the pain of rejection, the pain of the hurt in the family, the history of the family, and so on. You know, but it's good. It's good pain. It's necessary suffering, because this realm of being human, born human, is actually a good realm and a favorable rebirth realm, said the Buddha, because you have a mixture of the two, a mixture of pain and suffering and pleasure. So you have to know how to balance these two that's going on dynamically in your world. So, too much of something is not good for you. Too much pleasure is not good for you. Too much drinking too much water is not good for you. Too much sex is not good for you. Too much drugs is not good for you. And the total opposite is too lazy is not good for you. Just sleeping all day, every day in your bed is not good for you. And so trying to find that balance is key in the making meaning and sense of our rock bottom. And so, I would never be here had I not hit rock bottom, and I would never know what it feels like for other people who told me, Venerable, I almost jumped off a bridge. Venerable, I almost blew my brains out. Venerable, I almost killed my wife. I almost killed my kids. I almost could suicide, homicide, just all these horrific thoughts.
Yep.
I know where they've been, just because I've been there. I've been there with a Glock 17 in my hand, pointing up to my head and wanting to blow my brains out. What kept me from doing it was the thought that I am the only interpreter in my region, in my county, heck, perhaps in the whole state, that could do what I did back then. So it's a selfish act to take my life, knowing that my dying patients would probably die faster and left with a lot of pain and misery because they don't have an interpreter to work their cancer case. So in essence, my job and occupation saved my life in many ways. But I know what it's like to have, in those dark days, in your dark rooms, thinking about dark thoughts. That's Mara in Buddhism. That's your psychological demon that creeps up on you and tell you things and persuade you to take your life, persuade you to take the life of another. And we have to keep the mind under control. We have to learn how to keep the mind under control. We have to learn how to attend to the mind. We have to learn how to discipline the mind. And the Buddha said this. He says the mind that is well disciplined has been brought under control, is well disciplined and attended to, does in fact lead to happiness, does in fact will yield that happiness for you. So it's all there, And again, pain and suffering is awesome. Acknowledge it, embrace it, deal with it, face it head on, stop running. The more you run, the more money you cost yourself, the more attorney's fees you're going to anticipate, legal fees to anticipate, medical bills that you're going to be anticipating, cocaine, weed, drugs, LSD, shrooms, whatever, you name it, across the board. Intoxicating substance is what we define it as. Not good for you. I mean, just look at how many houses you can buy right now with all the drug use, all the money used for drugs. Right. just look at it, or the addiction, or the gambling, or the prostitutes that we have been engaged in, right? Look at it carefully, examine it. You be honest to yourself. You don't have to be honest to me. Be honest to yourself. Right. Ask yourself these questions in facing the truth, right? Facing your own demons. And so, I made tremendous progress spiritually as a direct result of facing these questions to myself. I was my own jury. And just knowing how to ask these questions and write it down. I kept a journal when hitting rock bottom. I wanted to measure my progress. I want to look back one day and see how much I have grown. And now that journal will probably be published down the line after the completion of this book, this Buddhism Now book, hopefully published by next year. But I intend to share the whole world my journey and how you can change. And it is never too late to change, no matter what age you are. And again, when we look at pain and suffering, welcome it.
Hey, thanks for watching this clip. If you like content like this, go to the description below. The full video should be there. And do not forget to like and subscribe. 97% of the people that watch this channel are unsubscribed. So please hit that subscribe button. It does a lot for the channel and it gives you more content like this. Have a good one.